Hi everyone, it's me, Sakura, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today, we're going to react to a new video called Michelin French Toast at Home. It's by Fallow. Um, it's a brand new video. It came out today, so I haven't seen it before, so we're going to watch it together. If you like my reaction videos, hit the like button and subscribe because every little bit helps me make more of these videos. Um, but let's go ahead and watch this video and see what Michelin French toast is like.
French toast seems like a simple thing. I found a few techniques from a Michelin chef that really levels it up. This dish, for me, typifies the difference between Michelin chefs and normal chefs by taking something that's fairly simple and elevating it to the next level.
Okay, so I always thought that French toast is just French toast.
This is a recipe provided to us by Helen de Rose for her perfect French toast. Absolutely love this recipe. I've tried this a couple of times at home. Really good one for the weekend. But basically, French toast, Pamperdou, as my dad calls it, eggy bread. Helen de Rose has a 3 Michelin star restaurant in the Connaught. She's one of only 2 women to have 3 Michelin stars in the UK. But this is just milk and cream. Recipes will be below in the description, and we're just bringing this up to the boil. What I love about this recipe is this just awesome little hack that she does at the end that just elevates it from any other French toast you've tried before. This is optional, but what we want to do is just add in some vanilla into the milk.
I think vanilla beans are pretty expensive, aren't they?
At this stage, open her up, and then taking your knife, just scrape along down, add it into your pot, and then also just add in the actual vanilla pod itself on a nice low temperature. So this is just coming up on the minimum temperature. Okay, so that's nearly up to 10. And what we're going to do, add in some sugar into our egg yolks, and then we're just going to lightly whisk until we've got a nice pale frothy mix. Now we've got our basic sabayon at the bottom of this pan, which is just egg yolks and sugar.
How come the egg is like that? Is it because of the sugar? Because I personally never mixed egg and sugar before, so I'm guessing the egg is like that because of the sugar.
Just take out your little vanilla pods, squeeze them against the side of the pan, really get that flavor out there.
And then I'm guessing that milk and cream mix is going to go in here to
I'm gonna trickle in slowly our milk. So just do this in stages. Now it's quite a light creme anglaise or custard. Basically, you don't really want it to be really nice and really thick because you want it to be super light inside the pan. So what happens now is that is tempering the eggs. When you're making a custard like this, it's all kind of about patience. You really just need to do the work to let that egg yolk thicken up the sauce. Okay, so just return this back to the pan. Make sure you get all the vanilla from the base of that bowl. And then we're just gonna stand here and make sure it comes to temp without scorching on the bottom and curdling. Essentially, we have been cooking or been thinking of ways to use stale bread in desserts and snacks since the Roman times. And many people think that the basic dish of French toast comes from the Roman times, but then also this dish is very elevated. You know, like obviously it's Helen de Rose, but I mean the techniques and everything is quite, it's quite simple. It's all quite straightforward. The egg protein is going to sort of start to set and coagulate anything above 80 degrees. So this is on at the moment 78 degrees.
Okay, I feel like French toast shouldn't be elevated. French toast is French toast, but this is interesting so far.
I'm just going to keep it going. And you've got to think, it doesn't need to be a set custard because it's going to go inside the brioche, soak inside, and it's going to cook in a little bit of foaming butter. So it's already going to thicken up in there as well. And the end result, if you were to take this too far, you would get this like almost like eggy protein forming over the side of the bread, which you don't want. Nice, it's just thickened up. Whenever you're talking about thickness of a sauce or of a nice consistency, you're
it just feels complicated.
looking for it to leave a trace on the back of a wooden spoon or a Maurice. You can see that that's not what this is. That's not what this is going to do. It's much looser at this stage. Next up, we're going to start thinking about our brioche. This will absolutely work with other bread that you have if you've got some leftover bread, but depending on the softness of the bread and the sort of butter content.
I thought that was a brick for a second. That is the weirdest loaf of bread I've ever seen before.
Content and fat content, you probably just want to increase the soaking time by around about a minute. So if you're using brioche, we're going to do 2 minutes per side. If you're using a white loaf, then do it for maybe 2.5 to 3 minutes per side. If you're using a sourdough, then go 4 minutes per side. With this brioche, I'm just going to trim off the end. I'm going to leave on these crusts because they actually help support the sort of structural integrity of the bread as it cooks. 2 fingers is a really...
Personally, I'm not a big fan of crust. I just... It doesn't taste good to me.
Nice, generous, sort of decadent portion. I know I've got slightly fat fingers, but you've got really weird little small fingers, just do it. Just do 2 plus your little finger. Unless you're living alone as a bachelor and cooking yourself pampadou on a Saturday morning, you'll probably be cooking for another person. But the issue can be, if you don't stagger the soaking times, you'll get one really soggy one before the other one is cooked. So you just need to factor that in. Luckily though, they do hold really nicely. So I'm going to put into the base of this tray my custard, and then I'm just very, very slowly covering it in my custard mix. I'm then going to flip it nice and delicately, and then I'm going to set a 2-minute timer.
Those are some pretty big pieces of bread.
2 minutes one side, 2 minutes the other. Bish bash bosh, ready to cook. Whilst that soaks, let's just heat up our pan, and I'm just going to use a little bit of butter.
That's also a lot of butter. That he says that's a little bit, but that looks like a lot.
I'm also just going to use a tiny splash of veg oil. It's been 2 minutes on that first side, so just give it a flip. Feels almost completely saturated, but it still wants to have its structural integrity. The reason I just want to start it off in melted butter is just because the milk solids in the butter will darken quite quickly. So you could, in theory, you could also use clarified, but I just know a lot of people don't have the time to use clarified butter in the morning when they're making French toast. So I just put...
Well, in that case, you can just buy ghee at the store. Most stores sell ghee, which is basically clarified butter.
Put a knob of butter in and start it low, and then increase the speed, and then the oil will just stop that butter burning straight away. Okay, so our French toast has been soaking for 4 minutes total now. We don't want to be in a position where we are soaking them all at the same time and then waiting for them to cook. So once I put my first one into the pan, then I'm going to start soaking the next. I'm going to be serving this with some mascarpone, completely optional. I think it gives a really nice mouthfeel, just a small amount.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of adding cheese and things like that to my French toast.
Of ice and sugar and just a touch of salt. And you don't really want to whisk it at this stage because then it could sort of split out. So yeah, perfect. You could add a little bit of orange zest to this or anything really. A splash of booze, but there we go. So we've got a really nice sort of foundational colour on there. So this one just went in 2 minutes ago. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take that out of the soaking liquid. Maybe I'll just add a tiny bit more on top so it can continue to absorb some of it. Okay, so really important now.
I mean, that looks good, but it doesn't remind me of French toast.
is just paying a good amount of attention to the bottom of this pan. The more movement it gets, basically the more even that crust is going to be. You really want to make sure that you've not got too much fat in there. But now this has been cooking for around about 3.5, 4 minutes. So last side, and then what we're going to do is take it out, place it onto our tray before our little touch of magic at the end, and keep checking it because the colour will go quite quickly. So this is where just using foaming butter really helps. Foaming butter is great for a lot of different things. I know I don't need to convince you that I like foaming butter, but one thing that it does do is it will...
I use foaming butter for like eggs and things like that.
Colour things really consistently. If you imagine that all that foaming butter is sort of engulfing all of the surface of that French.
However, I don't use a lot of butter either.
Toast, and here we want really delicate colour. So it's working really, really beautifully just to give it a really nice even crust the whole way over. And yes, you could take this out a little bit sooner, but it's worth it just to get this even coverage all over, and this helps with the next step as well. But what's happened now is, and you can feel it, it starts to almost just souffle up a little bit. It's cooking inside. So all the richness is going to be sort of trapped inside that brioche. It's going to be sweet, it's going to be buttery, it's just going to be absolutely next level. And you can kind of tell now that that's cooked. So then what we do is we take it out, and weirdly enough, for a French toast recipe, we're actually going to let it rest. What we'll do the same for the second, clean out our pan, and then we start with a final finesse 3 Michelin star Helen de Rose touch on our French toast. So this is delicious as it is now. You could run it through the oven, but we are actually just going to toast it with an extra layer of golden caster sugar on top. So I want to cover most of the bases on the bread.
Oh, that's a lot of sugar.
The sugar is turning into caramel around the outside. And importantly, just want to leave it alone at the moment. We want all of that caramel to form before we flip it over. Right, okay, and once our caramel, so all the sugar's melted, it's quite important at this stage that we move it around a little bit. Still trying to get that even colour over the whole base of the pan. You think it's sort of on the way on the edge, just take it off just a little bit before, and you get this like ultra decadent caramelized toast. And all you'd need to do now is just continue with the rest of your slices. And what I've done is just covered that in a little bit of Maldon salt. I would serve this, to be honest, just on its own. You can also just serve it with some figs. The sugar, the richness is just cut by that flaky salt on top. So just to serve up, completely optional, but I like to do it anyway. So I've got a bit of Hennessy. Flambe that up together. Oh, look at that. Nice rocher of our mascarpone. Do I have a treat for you today, chef?
Look at that, glass-like finish.
I mean, that looks good, but it doesn't remind me of a French toast. I don't know. I just think of French toast is egg and bread, like bread put into a egg mix and then cook it in the pan, and that's French toast. This is so radically different. I've never seen French toast done like this before, but it looks good, and I'm sure it tastes good. But would I personally call this a French toast? Probably not.
Let's dig in. So you can see the custard's almost set inside it, but it's added this richness and decadence. And then you've got this crisp and crunch on the outside and exterior.
It's one of those things I make at home all the time, just because you have like quite often stale bread.
But then again, I don't eat 3 Michelin star food. Would I like to try and eat 3 Michelin star food? Yeah, someday. But a 3 Michelin star French toast, if that's what it is, I think I'll pass.
But it's never actually as good as you buy, I think, if you use brioche.
The inside is perfectly moist and juicy and sort of like, decadent. It's just perfect.
It does look yummy though. It does. But But yeah, that's all for that video. If you like their content, of course, subscribe and like. And if you enjoy my reactions to these videos, subscribe and like, because every little bit helps me make more of these videos. Until next time, bye.